Hello everyone and Happy New Year. I am a little bit late, but I have been traveling full time and the Wi-Fi hasn't been the best during my travels, so I have been a little bit behind on my videos. I'm currently spending 3 months of traveling to Singapore, India, Australia, and Thailand, and then I'm going back home to Canada for the summer. So there will be some videos coming on that, but for now I am getting a ton of questions during this trip, so I thought I'd make a quick Q&A video for all of you guys. So let's see, first question. Did you get vaccinations before going to India? Out of 64 countries that I've traveled, I never had any vaccinations. And most people think that's crazy. I think it's crazy to get injected full of things just because society or whatever else tells you. I know this is a controversial topic, so I try to not cover it, but I'm just reading your guys' questions without planning it, and that was the first one. So I have been a little bit against them, and I get a lot of hate for this when I post about it, but from my personal experience, and I actually have 2 separate friends, one lost a child and one lost a baby, to getting certain vaccinations that you don't really hear about. And there are a lot of side effects. Of course, there's also a lot of positives, so there's people who feel very strongly about getting them. And at this point, I did get them for India because I have heard lots of horror stories about India, so I didn't want to take the chance, and basically I think that I have pushed my luck because I've been in some areas that I should have had some things, but I was young and sometimes we take silly risks. So I got about 4 different vaccinations, the main ones that you need right now. I don't know all the names because some of them are really weird. And I also brought malaria pills that I didn't end up taking. I've lived in a lot of countries that has malaria, and it's just a choice that I made. They also gave me some prescriptions if I got sick, but I luckily never did. I did get a bad flu for a few days, but nothing serious. I was also in a car accident, so that was an interesting experience. It was an adventure, but I would recommend, if you feel like you should get a vaccination, then go for it. This was just my personal choice. Do you learn the languages, or do you find it hard to communicate with the locals while you're traveling? So when I first started traveling about a decade ago, I was so excited that I would learn all of these amazing foreign languages, and little did I know that basically every country in the world speaks English or has basic knowledge of English. I know how to say thank you in pretty much every language, and I know hello, washroom, basic things like that, but unfortunately, just because everyone speaks English, I have never learned another language, and it's something I really want to do. But also, if you're in an area where no one speaks English, you would be very surprised to discover how much you can speak to someone and communicate without actually using words. I have full conversations just with my hands. I've been invited for dinner at locals' homes, and we've sat and had dinner with their family who doesn't speak English, and we've had an amazing time together. They've sang for me and we've had laughs. It's really incredible the connection you can have with others without even spoken language. Do you date locals? Okay, so usually I plan my script ahead of time, but right now I just decided to read it as they come in. Do I date locals? Yeah, sure, why not? I am open to connecting with people when I travel. Obviously, my traveling makes it difficult to date anyone, which is why I've been single since I started traveling pretty much, except for about a year. I find that once a connection has been established, people sometimes get scared because I'm not going to be there for long, or there's always an issue of us being from a different country. But I think in the end, if I meet someone and it's worth it, then all those details just get figured out. Personally, I'm from Canada. I don't absolutely love Canada, to be honest. It's beautiful, but it's just not ever been for me, so I'm always open to making friends and more connections in other countries at the possibility that I'll find my place in the world and stay there. Do you ever feel weird about setting up your camera stand to do selfies, videos in public? I used to quite a bit, but now it doesn't really bother me. It's so common. You'll see people do it all the time. And when it used to bother me, I'd see girls that are just, doing a yoga video with thousands of people around and they don't care. So I was just like, why do I care? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter, and I get to make amazing content and share it with you guys, so that's worth being a bit awkward for. What advice would you give someone flying alone for the first time? So, confession, I am terrified of flying, and I've been on around 500 flights. How do I do it? Again, like I said with being awkward, but it's worth it, you need to decide what's most important to you. So making that content to me is more important than feeling a bit awkward. That doesn't matter. So flying is something I don't like, but seeing the world and experiencing new cultures is much more important than that little stupid fear of mine. Of course, I have techniques. If I feel like I'm panicking, I come back to my breath, I breathe, and really I think about what are the odds of something happening. Obviously, it's one of the safest ways to travel. Really, it comes from attachment to being alive. You know, no one wants to die. Nothing living on this planet wants to die. So it's natural that we're scared of anything that we could possibly die. But if you think about it, I'm in a car every day. I was just in a car accident. You know, we can go any day, and I don't think the fear of something happening when literally you can walk outside your door and be hit by a car today. I don't think that irrational fear should stop you from living your dreams. I'm not really sure what the person meant, if it was a fear thing or just traveling alone. Watch your purse if you have a purse when you're on the plane. Another thing I do, because I used to get really stuffed up and sometimes get colds from flying, I always have a little scarf on when I travel, and I put eucalyptus oil on it, and then I breathe it in, and the eucalyptus oil actually kills the bacteria. So you don't get all that stuffy if you have sinus issues like that, which is something that I used to struggle with. So since I started doing that, it really helped. If you're vegetarian or vegan, make sure you have your meal plan, and yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. Also do yoga before and after. I didn't for years, and I now have some back issues due to flying, but I'm working with yoga, and I always put a pillow in a certain spot on my back when I'm flying, and that helps too. How do you deal with disturbing energies when you don't have a safe place or home? Yeah, so like right now I'm in a hotel and there's all kinds of energies. So specifically when I'm staying in a new room, I usually have a little small altar with me, which has a couple of the goddesses that I'm working with at the time, and my guru, which is Swami Lakshmanju, next to my bed. And then I sage and use sandalwood in the room every time before I sleep there. And sage is an incredible tool. You can actually feel the energy shift in the room after you have saged it. It's been used for thousands and thousands of years from all different kinds of cultures, especially Aboriginal cultures. So that is an important thing for me, and it kind of makes it feel like home to me, or familiar. Disturbing energies when I'm out on the streets and I see things that are really painful to see has always been a struggle for me, especially I was just in India and I saw a lot there that really hurt my heart. The only thing that I can do to deal with that is know that I'm there trying to make a positive change. So I like to share my content with you guys, and I like to learn. I like to go to these places and take in what I can, and then go home and share that with everyone, and hope that it will hit something inside of them where they'll feel they'll want to make a difference. So for me, it's again weighing out what's more important, and of course seeing things that break my heart. I have to stay strong because I know I'm trying to do something good from being in these areas. I mean, it's a really hard thing. I'll start crying about it if I think about it. All the pain that's happening in the world and the suffering right now. So how do I deal with that? I volunteered in many countries, and I saw a lot of animal abuse and human abuse during this time. And honestly, sometimes you have to try to, keep a wall up and not let it hurt you. But something I meditate on a lot that personally helps me is a vision that I had during a very deep experience. It was a psychedelic experience, and I just had this vision that I was here as a light worker. And of course we say this all the time, oh, we're light workers, but I really felt that my purpose on this planet, because basically what I was asking was, why am I here? Why is there so much pain in the world? And why am I such an empath that I have to feel all of this pain and suffering that's happening around the world? The answer was that I came here to bring light, and so many of us, if you're watching this, you probably are too, to make a change in the world. There's a lot of suffering, but it needs people like us. So if we didn't come, then the suffering would continue and it would get worse and worse and worse. That's my purpose, and when I'm walking down the street and I see something really painful that I'm not directly able to do something about, I just try to remember that I'm doing the best I can, and that's my purpose here on this planet at this time. I hope that makes sense. And also, again, if you're in a weird situation where it just feels off or anything, just go. Like, you don't need an excuse. If someone's being strange to you, like it happened to me a lot in India. I was a girl by myself, and a lot of men were very inappropriate to me and following me around, and really I just ran away from some of them. You don't need an excuse. You don't need to be polite. Just get out of any situation that you don't feel comfortable. How do you manage to exercise consistently during your travels? To be honest, I don't exercise as much as I want. Sometimes I'm in places where I don't have a gym, and there's too much pollution, or it's too cold or way too hot to work out outside. So I do miss cardio quite a bit. I don't do it as much as I do while I'm at home. But I do have a light yoga mat that I travel with, and I try to do a little bit, even 10 minutes of yoga a day. And there's body weight exercises that I do, and that's pretty much it. It's always a difficult thing to follow a fitness routine or a nutrition plan while you're traveling, but I do the best I can. Even if it's just for a few minutes, I'll try to do like 50 squats once a day, because I feel like if I am not active for, say, even a week straight, then all of a sudden I just stop. So for me, it's really important to remain consistent and just have that healthy mindset that I am working towards being fit, and obviously maintaining it. Have you done much volunteering whilst traveling? As I said before, I actually traveled and volunteered for a year straight, mostly throughout Southeast Asia. I did a bunch of different projects. I did coral reef conservation, orangutan conservation, turtle conservation. I did hiking, like touring. This was because I was actually going to school for wildlife biology, and I had a bunch of money saved, and I wanted to get some field experience. But to be honest, it was really rewarding, and the projects and the people were absolutely incredible. What they're doing is amazing. But I just felt like I could be doing more, and that's when I decided to teach yoga and to teach online and teach in a different kind of way, or help the planet in a different kind of way. I think wildlife conservation is amazing, but it was feeling like I was targeting just certain groups, whereas if I'm out at festivals teaching and communicating with humans, these are the people that are making a difference to hopefully stop altogether the mistreatment of animals and the earth. That's why my purpose kind of changed, but I definitely recommend volunteering. One organization that I loved and I went through a lot is called Ecoteer, ECOTEER. So just Google them. I think they're amazing. They have all different kinds of projects. Are you not traveling with Koi anymore? So I was kind of ignoring these questions for a while. If you follow me on Instagram, I addressed the issue with me and my beloved Koi. We are now just very good friends, and we met for a short time in India and traveled a bit. We're doing the same trip, but we're just not doing it full time together now. But we are meeting and teaching on the Gold Coast of Australia next month. So if you're around, we will be teaching at Earth Frequency and probably doing some meetups around Byron Bay area. And we also made some content for you guys that will be coming soon. How do you have permission to stay out of your country longer than 3 months? As a Canadian, I think you can leave as long as you want. You need to still do your taxes, which I didn't do for 7 years, and I just did this year, which was a really big deal to me. Technically, I don't think you should even have to do them if you're out of the country, but anyways, there's no rules for how long you can leave. There's obviously, you need to keep getting visas for places, which isn't much fun, but if you're leaving your country, obviously study the law and figure it out. I've been off of the Canadian healthcare system for like 7 years now, just because I'm never there. How to make money while traveling. I have a video on this. Obviously, you guys know I'm a yoga teacher. I do public speaking. I do online programs, retreats. I'm learning to DJ now, so I want to hold ecstatic dance events. When you're traveling, especially when you're meeting people who live the same kind of lifestyle as you, you're always finding new ways to make money and figuring out new things. I also have some online businesses that I don't really share on my social media platforms as much, but I do make an income from those too, so you just have to figure it out. Everyone has their own path. If you were to live in one country for the rest of your life, what would it be? Actually, it's where I am right now, Australia. I absolutely love Australia, and I've always felt, since really as long as I can imagine, a crazy draw to this country. It's not the easiest place to get a visa and stay, so if you're Australian and you want to marry me, let me know. I'm just kidding, but really if you want to. Actually, I have a dog now, and she's not allowed in Australia, or else she needs to be quarantined for 6 months, which just isn't happening because she's a very anxious dog, and I made a promise to her that I would never abandon her. So I keep my promises, and I have to choose her over staying in Australia forever. Another country I really love is Mauritius. I think it's just actually heaven on earth, so check that out if you want, but all different countries offer different things. These are just a couple of my favorites. When you travel, do you learn to have more fun alone? Like, not just with others? I have so much fun by myself. Like, 20 minutes ago before I made this video, I was laughing my head off, and I felt really awkward about it. I thought of something funny, I was laughing at myself, and I just thought I should message this to one of my friends. I messaged one of my friends because I just felt like a dork sitting here laughing my head off by myself. I'm like, I need to share this with someone. But I've been alone for so long that it really doesn't affect me. I've enjoyed being alone my whole life, to be honest. I've never felt like it was awkward or missed being around people. Obviously, it's good to have a connection. Sometimes I do miss the fact that it's difficult to establish really deep connections with people when you're always taking off. So like I said, I have connected with people, but then I'm going somewhere else, and I see people with really intimate, amazing, raw connections, and I just wish that I could have that too. But I think also, since I started taking the initiative to go to more conscious events and conscious festivals, then I can actually establish deeper connections in a shorter period of time, which has been very healing for me. I really just want to tell you guys, you don't have to be with people to do anything. I take myself on nice dinners alone all the time. I do everything. I go to the movies by myself. If this makes you feel uncomfortable, I say just keep doing it until you feel comfortable, because you don't need other people to do anything. And sometimes people ask me, how do you travel alone? Oh, I wish I could go there, but I'm waiting for someone to go with me. It doesn't make sense to me. Why? Just go do it by yourself. I started rock climbing by myself. I went zip lining by myself. I went skydiving by myself. You don't need anyone else for anything. Just go and do it. You don't want to be on your deathbed and be like, I wish I did all these things. If only my friends came with me. Just go do it by yourself. And honestly, you'll probably have a totally amazing experience having your own experience rather than being around other people's experiences too. This week I'm going to a huge music festival by myself. I chose to go by myself because I want to have my own experience. I don't want distractions, and I don't want to be a part of other people's experiences. Obviously I said I'd love to connect with people, but I like to have my own experience that I can take away and completely grow from on my own. What is your absolute dream destination? I spent a lot of my savings on going to my dream destinations because I lost a couple people really close to me, and I just realized, wow, I've been putting off certain things that I'm just going to do all in this next year. So some of them was going to Santorini, going to the Taj Mahal, a couple places in Canada that I had never seen. I'm going to Rainbow Serpent Festival, which was a festival I've always wanted to go to. Maldives and Mauritius were both places I really wanted to go that I not just went to, but 2 years ago. Right now I'm feeling, I've always kind of felt a pull towards the Middle East and Morocco. I haven't been to Morocco yet. I heard there's some safety issues, so I'm kind of just waiting on it. So some destinations that I'm really excited for right now that I guess would be dream destinations to me that I haven't done yet would just be Morocco, Turkey, Jordan, and Israel. So all kind of around that area. I'm just feeling a pull towards it right now and to go experience it, because I know it's going to be different than a lot of places I've seen, and I've kind of been putting off those areas. Okay, last question. And because I'm just reading these They're a bit different than the questions I usually answer. Have you been slut-shamed in a country? So I think the basis of this question is asking, because I'm a very open person and maybe in certain cultures I seem more sexual than the local women, I'm gonna say. So no, I haven't, because I am very respectful to local laws. So if you see me in the Middle East, I've traveled to Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Pakistan, and I'm in full local attire. And really, in most countries, I'm trying to draw the least amount of attention to me as possible anyways. But yeah, I remain very respectful to local customs. That's not something that you should play around with. And I'm very open online, but that's a bit different than when I'm in person. And I hang around a lot of conscious communities, so I mean, people are pretty open in them and don't judge. And just in safety, I'm receiving a lot of safety questions for women in general. And I respect the local laws, and I also don't go out at night by myself because that's usually when things happen. So I'm pretty careful in that way. When I was about 17, this actually happened in Canada, but I'm not going to say what country the man was from just because I don't want to stereotype. I was having lunch, and I think apparently I looked at his table, I don't know, but he came over to me and my friend. I was with a male friend of mine, and he started screaming at me that I was disrespectful, and I was at dinner with one guy, and I looked over at his table. And honestly, I don't remember looking at his table, and it was really embarrassing because he screamed at me in front of the whole restaurant. But what country this person was from was one that women don't really look men in the eyes, especially on the street or anything. So you can imagine coming from a place that's really free from Canada, and now he's there, and I don't know, obviously he should have respected how locals are there too. But this is just an example that in some countries you have to be aware of things that might be inappropriate. So something as little as making eye contact with someone, which is a good thing we do here. It's polite to look at someone and smile. So I suggest doing some research before you go to countries and just know what's appropriate and try not to overstep the boundaries there. It might seem silly to you, but you're in their country, so just be respectful. All right, you guys, I have had fun answering these questions. I'll probably do it again soon, and I'm excited to share my travel content with all of you guys soon. Thank you for the amazing questions. As always, you guys are awesome, and I love you. If you have any additional questions, comment below, and I'll try to get back to as many as I can during my travels. And for more videos like this, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I will see you guys again soon.